So grab something that you can trace. I have my favorite, an espresso coffee pods. I'm doing a mini, so anything circular. I also wanted to show you I have Daniel Smith masking fluid. You can use other masking fluid or just be careful to leave a space. I just have it for the snowman. I'm going to put a bunch of paint behind there, so I wanted to mask out a space. And wanted to leave a couple of areas that I am going to avoid with our first coat of blue to be reflections. So just kind of random shapes on the left and the right side somewhere and leave a little gap. Now, let's cover the whole back with water. We're going to not do the snow on the ground, and we're going to leave the big areas around the trees. We'll leave that open in the area with the cabin. But I'm wetting everything, not dripping off the page, but a little bit glistening. And then we're going to drop in some blue. I have an ultramarine blue plus cerulean and a little Payne's gray. So I kind of have a little lighter and a little darker, but you guys can use any blue for this and even a little purple. There's really no right or wrong, just so that we have some darker areas and some lighter. You can drop it in. I'm spreading it around a little bit so that it's covering everywhere. And I'm just going to concentrate on having the dark ones on the left and the right. I've been studying up on snow globes, and what I observed is that the left and right have the darker areas. So I guess closest to the horizon. And then see, I'm avoiding these areas where we're leaving the reflections open. There's no water there, so it's not going to travel up in there. That's the magic. I love that about watercolor. If you haven't put the water there when you're doing wet on wet, it's not going to travel into there. So that's great. And then I'm just going to keep really light blue at the top. And to keep it lighter, you just use a lighter, more water on your brush and less pigment. So I really concentrated the pigment on the bottom areas and then more water. Now, I want it to look a little bit like a sunset, or even a sunrise. Not like that, it had a little brown shade, but I want like a light peachy, yellowy, a little warm colors back here. So it's gonna dry lighter than this. It's not gonna look like this when it's done, but I just want the idea that it's sort of like a sunset atmospheric. So I had a little bit of yellow ochre with a little bit of pink mixed in to make it a little bit peachy. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the straight peachy pink. So it's like a really light red around. And then a Hansa yellow light. So like a regular yellow closer to the trees. So it's kind of looking like the sunset. I'm not making it super obvious. I just wanted there to be a little contrast in the middle. It's not like a dramatic purple orange sky. Just a little. And so put a little more reds in here. Just dab it in. Try not to scratch around too much and work your brush around. I'm still doing that. And I'm really trying to stop. Okay. The next area let's focus on is, since we kind of had the warm colors, let's take, so for the base of this, I forgot a line here. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're putting a line. But for the base of our thing, let's use like a little wood. So I'm going to use yellow ochre on the left side. It's kind of looking like a little yellowy wood. And then we're going to shade it on the right side. So there's a little bit of a glare here from the light, but you'll be able to see it's a little bit darker yellow ochre. And then we're having it fade to lighter in the center. This is the pedestal for the snow globe. We want it to be a little lighter in the center, where our highlight's going to be. And then on this side, I just did a little brown. So if you have a brown, this is raw umber, but you could also mix up a brown by mixing up all of your primaries together. And you could get like a warm brown or whatever you want. I'm just going to drag it across, and I'm going to try to leave the middle sort of open for our highlight area. Make it really, I just put just plain water there to drag it across a little bit. And then you can strengthen by putting some deeper the same pigment, but just more concentrated of it at the very corners, the very edges. And since I have this color, I'm going to go ahead and use the same color up here for the house. I'm using this brown and I mixed in a little bit of the yellow ochre. So it has sort of both colors of the bottom base wood kind of I'm putting up in the cabin just to keep it consistent. And then a really dark line for the shadow on under the roof line and on the left side of the front. And then let's go back to blue and shadow some of the snow that's in the snow globe. So we want it to kind of look like it's shadowed at the bottom of the snow globe and it's brighter white at the top. It's kind of complicated painting this all in glass. So the snow would obviously look a lot different if it was just on a flat surface on the earth, but ours is buried. So then let's put I just add a little purple here, like a little bit of purple to the blue so it would be a little darker and a little more shadowy looking on the edges. You see the theme? We're kind of making the darker off to the edge of everything and lighter towards the center. Because like the snow globe is the sphere, the point of it is coming out to us, and that's where it's lightest. Okay. There were a couple areas where I missed with our little background yellowy peach. And I wanted to add that because I'm going to put the trees in and I didn't want there to be a huge gap. If you ever, like I just did, I put in an area and it just looked too dark to me and it's still wet, you can dab it out with a paper towel. You can add plain water and dab some of your color out. And I just felt like the bottom was a little too dark. Okay, now mix up a ton of greens. Lime green, dark green, brown green. Put some darker green, put some browns into the green, and then we'll have one area in the middle that'll be a bluish kind of green, blue-green tint. Now, we're going to do some trees that look like they're really far back. So we want them to look muted. So we want kind of a muted green, and we just want it kind of really light. We don't want to have a lot of color in those. They're just back there. We don't need detail. We don't need to see their branches really. And remember, this is going to dry lighter. So, and I'm going to make it light right now because I felt like it's still too dark a little, but it's going to be fine once it dries. And that's what we want. We want these to look like they're really far back. So just use like a little sagey green, maybe a little lime green way in the back. And I'm just making very simple evergreen shapes with these, like stereotypical pine trees, triangle shaped. Okay, this guy is going to be closer to us, so get a little darker green. And I am literally just making it go like what you think of when you see a Christmas tree in like a kid's book. This is not the most high level tree you've ever seen, but I want to see a few branches. I'm still using my number 4. I started with a number 4 brush. I'm on 3" by 3". But if you're doing something as small as this, you might want to switch to it too, because it's a little thick there for getting little branches. But you can size your brushes depending on what size you're using. You definitely probably want to go down a size from what we did the background blue to these details on the trees, but I'm still sticking with my 4 for right now. And here's another thing. You can see on my brush how it's kind of curved at the tip. It shouldn't be. It should be straight because I've been using that to dig the paint out of my paint wells. So maybe you want to think about using a different paintbrush than your good ones for digging the paint out, because I don't have a good sharp tip on mine at this point, and it's not been that long, like a month. Okay, so another nice, I added maybe a little brighter, I decided a little brighter yellow here, and this one's the closest tree to us, so we want to have like some pretty good pigment. And remember we talked about the blue? Let's just make it like a blue pine, like a more interesting, to have them not all the same. So that'll be like a dark turquoisey blue. And this one's kind of close to us a little bit as well, so just make it a little more defined like we were doing with the branches of the ones that are closer. You see the ones in the back, they're just kind of blobs. And then we've got some more areas down here to fill. And oh, be careful. I'm about to go over, if I'm not careful, go over. So I just did it. Go over the roof. See? Um, leave your, if you're doing a tree that's behind the cabin, be sure to leave it behind there. And then leave your space. I don't have to worry about the snowman because mine is covered. Mine is masked off with the masking fluid, but if you guys are calculating just to leave a little space for your snowman, watch that. Okay, let's have some easy little tree trunks. This is just for me, it's burnt umber, and I'm gonna have a few little parts of the trunks weaving through the tree, going up. And here's a mysterious floating trunk. I'm gonna need to put some more leaves there. I felt like it was too high up. So just put a couple hints that we have the stems back there, the trunks. I'm gonna add some more at the bottom because this is just floating out there. Really don't need that. But I really like this blue. Having some of that in between the other green colors. Love. I also like the effect of the snow being in the snow globe here. Okay, we can add, I'm gonna darken a little the corner of the house there. We can add little lines maybe to simulate some wood panels. You can just add a few things. This is really small, and you're seeing it zoomed in for me. This 3 inch is very small, so you can add, a couple of things in there. I'm gonna do maybe a little door, and that's really it. I don't need a lot here. Just putting some dark along the bottom, and I'm just not happy with it, so I'm gonna add some more. Maybe a little orangey brown, just something that just adds a little lines. We'll do for the wood boards. You don't need a lot. And then a corner little door there. And I'm just going to do the left side of the door really in a little more shadow, making sure that we have the roof shadowed and a little of the left corner of the door shadowed. Just giving the hint that that's a door frame. And then maybe a little bit of shadowing under the whole cabin. We could do that in blue a little later. Okay, and let's make some of the snow on the roof a little lighter blue shadowing. It's not going to all be bright white. We can leave a little bit of the top of it, maybe, so we have some shading. And then while we're shading the snow, let's start to do our snowman. This is a rubber masking fluid. It sort of grips it and takes it off. You can also just use your finger. And if you just save that space, you're fine. You already have the white ready. I'm going to pencil in a little bit of a mini snowman, super mini. And as I'm getting old, I'm going to need to pull out a magnifying glass for this one if I want details. But let's shade the right side, similar to sort of we did at the bottom. So our sun in this thing is coming from the left in this scene. Let's shade it with some blue on the right side of our guy, and then make a little bit of shade shadowing behind him on the snow. I mean, this is tiny. I'm impressed I can even see this at all. I did, you don't see me, but I did put on magnifiers, so glasses, so that I could really see. And then I also have a super mini paintbrush. I'll show you in a second. I'm now just watering the top of this background because, again, I felt that the top was a little dark and I wanted a little lighter. It has dried at this point, so I can kind of see how it dried and where we're at with that. How cute is that snowman, though? So cute. Okay, darkening. These trees are fairly well set now, and we're gonna darken areas. I'm gonna put some big patches of darker and put some darker greens under some branches and stick with little, similar colors to what you had before. This one had a little bit of a lime green. I'm gonna go ahead. I have this color called undersea green, which I love. It's like a um earthy like army green, earthy kind of, but dark. I really like it. So that's what I'm using here, undersea green, but you can also darken a green with some gray. You can add even some purple to a green. And I'm adding one more of our little background little trees over there to the right side, and then adding a little more into those. See how they don't have a lot of detail? They're just there further back. And then here's my darker color for the blue pine, sort of the turquoisey. Now I'm using more of an indigo blue to make the shadows. In some places I'm just doing patches and that's closer to the trunk. And then some places I'm making longer lines. Also, let's talk about how fancy my nails are. I am just so impressed. I've been a nail biter all my life and they're looking so good now. I don't know what happened. After all these years, I just have nails. So excited. Okay, we are getting ready. So we're doing our last bits of shadowing now that things are dry a little bit. So we can add, we'll just really just don't need much to add a little detail to the snowman. We're going to add snow. It's going to be so fun. Okay, and we have our darkest blue, like our indigo dark blue. Like you can add in some gray or even some purple to it to get a dark inky blue. And I'm going to put that around the globe to really sort of outline and highlight that circle. I have some that's a little messy over there, so I'm trying to get that all into like a circle, into the globe shape. Um, I'm going to do a little of that on the other side. I added some brighter blue as well. And then just finding some areas to darken a tiny bit more so we can keep the illusion that it's 3D. And I'm going to do a little bit at the top, I'm leaving my lightest area a little bit above that, but I'm just doing a couple of other, just little bits of shade. And we don't want these totally white, these reflection areas. So really, I'm just putting the tiniest glaze of light blue inside them. And leaving some pure white, but a lot of just little bits of light blue. This little paper towel has come in handy tonight. I'm really dabbing a lot out of here. I hope you guys are liking how yours are turning out. I'm feeling super Christmassy this year and started decorating early, right after Thanksgiving, the weekend after. I've never do that. I've been super in the mode, and my go-to color this year is pink. And I'm not a pink person, but it is pink. I have another video doing a little pink nutcracker. Oh, let's look at this brush. It's a small, tiny, tiny mini. Do you see that compared to my nail? So many. If you don't have it, don't worry about putting in little details. I'm just putting in like a hat. There's no way I could do this without this brush. If you have super skinny pens, like really, really um, thin little black pens or ink pens, you could use that too. I'm going to put a little scarf, um, or maybe a really sharpened pencil for putting some of the little buttons on and stuff. But without a really small brush, it's not going to work. And I'm literally using magnifying glasses that are magnifying like readers. It's really small. It's kind of a good challenge. I have a little gray and I'm going to see what I can do for the eyes. If I can do for the eyes. Like so tiny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. No, we just gave it a raccoon face. We just made it a panda bear snowman. Oh wow. Yeah. No. So one piece of advice, don't have it too wet. I'm wetting it now and blobbing it out. While it's wet, it came right out. Thank goodness. You probably can't even see it stepping back, but I can see it and I hated it. Let's have like try to do as little ink on your brush as possible. As little water, I mean, and just ink. So yeah, we can do the buttons, like that's all good. But those eyes are so small and now it's a little wet up there. Do I dare? Okay, I'm daring. Oh gosh, it's so bad. It's okay. Who needs eyes? Well, our snowman doesn't need to have eyes. And I did one yesterday and put a little carrot nose, but oh my gosh, it's really small. It's super cute. This is a big challenge. Try to do a 1 inch painting. I've seen people on Etsy who that's their thing. They do super minis, like 1 inch. Okay, we'll try it again. I think it's the same as before. What am I doing? We'll see. Okay, while I've got the dark here, it's like a dark Payne's gray. I'm gonna put that a little in that roof line, and because that'll be our darkest little value there. A little corner of that door again. And then let's go now that the bottom is fully dry for sure, and let's create lines to delineate the different layers of this base. And so just get a brown, like a darker brown. I have the burnt umber again, sorry, raw umber. And I'm just going to make a brown line and then add a little bit to the edges. And my pedestal, my drawing of the pedestal is kind of off the page. Hopefully you can have your whole thing, but mine's going off a little bit. I really like the wood tone on this kind of. I like that it's matching the cabin. And then we could add a little bit more yellow ochre over here to strengthen that up. And a little at the corners of that. Just to add more color there. And it'll lighten when it dries. We're keeping the center open. I'm obsessed with this paper towel today, but I feel like I've been going kind of heavy. And you guys don't need to do this much detail. I sort of get lost in the detail, really trying to do more abstract and go away from realism. But when I get a challenge of trying to make something look realistic, I go all in. So I'll just keep going and going, but you don't have to add all this detail. You can have, a fairly decently solid color and just do a little shading and highlighting. It's totally up to you. You can have color the base, a colored wood or metal, make it look like anything. And here's my favorite, guys. White paint marker. If you don't have it, you can use a white colored pencil or white acrylic paint. We're gonna add our snow this way. You're gonna want this because without it, it doesn't have the pop that it's gonna need. So I'm putting some areas of the snow just like clumps, and then some I'm making in straight lines, and it'll look more like it's fallen on there in some areas, and it's like a straight line in others. Um, just looking like the snow is accumulated a little bit. And I'm dabbing it off too. I'm not having it like super stark white. Then you can just put some into the branches. We're creating space that way too, not just snow. We're giving a little more space. I've been using this in a lot of my watercolor paintings, just at the end to give some space where I didn't leave enough white, maybe. See how I made a little lump on that one? It just looks a little more realistic. Okay, another place I'm gonna put it is the line on top of the cabin and the line of snow right over the darkest highlight of the roof. Here is where it's cool on our snowman. Let's put it on the left side whether you have a colored pencil like a chalk pencil, pastel white, um, acrylic paint, gouache, go ahead and just dab that into the left side of your snowman so it's all showing kind of bright over there. And then here's where we want to really do some final touches. A couple of lines on the glass. I'm going to do one towards the edge and a couple little bits just where you feel like the glass would be reflecting. There's no really right or wrong place to put it. I'm going to outline some of my reflection shapes with the white. And I'm going to go around the top and the top right of the globe just to make that kind of look like it's disappearing into the background. And then just like a little bit over here where I'm sort of outlining the glass. And we are almost done. This is looking really good, guys. Now, how much fun? Of course we need snow. I'm gonna make some bigger and some tinier dots wherever you want. Put some in front of the trees, put some maybe one or two in front of the cabin falling. This is the fun part. Go nutty, put as much as you want. Don't make little star-shaped ones. Just make little dots. Unless you want star-shaped ones. It's your painting. But lots of snow. More snow the better. Our little snow globe. Super cute. I'm in the holiday spirit with this. About to bake some eggnog scones. Are you kidding? Those aren't gonna last. Those aren't gonna last past the oven, like past the mixing phase. I'm gonna be eating most of that. I'm gonna add a little highlight here, just really here and there, just a little bit where the glass or the front of this little pedestal is. We don't really need it, but I'm doing it anyway. I always like to rub the thing seems so stark white, so I was kind of rub it in a little. Okay, now I decided also to do a background. Just really light. And I told you pink is the thing, pink is the vibe this year, so I'm doing a little light rose pink. You guys choose whatever you want. Don't do blue. Unless, I don't know, you could, but something different so that the blue stands out. And it really just makes the snow globe kind of pop out more. You could do darker in the very corners. You could just leave it one flat wash. How cute is this? For real, how cute is this? You could make this an ornament on the tree.